Hello Canucks fans, and welcome back to another Blackfish report here for CanucksArmy. My name is Chris Faber, and we are about to go around the week that was for Vancouver Canucks prospects. Let's start in Sweden, as we seem to always do. We had two Canucks prospects playing in the Four Nations tournament, and they both showed extremely well. Let's start with Elias Pettersson, who looked excellent as a left-shot defenseman for Sweden. He was playing on the second pairing and had a great game against Slovakia, where he scored 2 goals and added 1 assist in a game where his offense began to shine. We've always liked the skating in Pettersson's game. We've always liked the physicality and the defensive play as well. But for the first time, we are actually very impressed by what he did offensively. I mean, he was able to step up into the slot, be able to generate some scoring chances on his own, but just seemed so much more confident playing with the U20 team with Sweden. The other player on the team was Lucas Forsell, Canucks prospect who was drafted in the 2021 draft of the 7th round, and he looked great as well. I mean, the kid has absolute wheels. He was flying out there, got an opportunity to play on Sweden's top line at the tournament, and both these prospects combined for a very nice goal where Lucas Forsell walked in with the puck, went around a defender, and the puck ends up finding its way to Elias Pettersson, who made no mistake and absolutely buried it. It was a great tournament for both these players, and they came out of it with the trophy, winning the Four Nations tournament with Sweden in a final against Finland, where they won 3-2. Sticking in Finland, let's talk about Jonathan Myrenberg. It's been great to be able to talk about him every week on this prospect report. The right shot defenseman has now moved up and is playing first pairing minutes, I should say, with Mora in the Allsvenskan League. It was nice to see this past week. He was on both the power play and the penalty kill, and seeing him on the power play able to generate a couple of shots on net was a good sign for the prospect, who's still 19 years old and getting loaned to the Allsvenskan so that he can get more minutes. We'll continue on, wrapping up our Sweden talk with Jonathan Lekkerimäki. The Vancouver Canucks' top prospect was back in the lineup with his Allsvenskan team. It was great to see him with Djurgårdens after a World Junior Championships, where we weren't super impressed by his play, but we still know that he has 2 more years at the World Juniors. As for when he got back to Djurgården, there seems to be some chemistry back with his line mates, and he even had 4 shots on net in his return to the lineup with his Allsvenskan team. It's a very young team, but a very talented team that they have in the Allsvenskan, and they should be fighting to be able to get back into the SHL for next season. All right, over to Finland we go, where we have 2 Canucks prospects that actually ended up matching up against each other in a Liga preseason game. Joni Jurmo and Victor Persson, playing for the Pelicans and Jukurit, ended up matching up. Both players were playing third pairing minutes for their teams, didn't really make a huge impact on the game, and ended up playing somewhere between 10 and 13 minutes of ice time. Nothing really stood out from these 2 players, but to see them both get into the lineup, specifically Persson, who is now with a new team over in Liga, he's never been in the Finnish top league before, to see him at least be one of the top 6 defensemen being used in preseason is a good spot for him after a year in the WHL, where we weren't really impressed by what we saw from Victor Persson as much as we were when he was playing in the J20 leagues over in Finland. So for him, it's going to be a big bounce back season. If he can continue to get minutes in the Liga, it's going to be great for his development. But both these defensemen are kind of on the back burner for us for prospects when we're looking at these 2, because we need to see them start to get top 4 minutes in the Finnish Liga before we start to get pretty excited about a North American landing spot for these 2 defensemen. We'll talk about Dmitri Zlodeyev, and it's been a great little preseason for him so far. He has scored another goal in the KHL preseason playing for Spartak, and I tell you, just from the production we've seen from Zlodeyev, it should be an exciting start to the season for him. That season for the KHL gets going on September 2nd when he's playing with Spartak. Though he's been a center for all the time that we've been covering him, he is playing the right wing for Spartak right now, and he's been used kind of on the 3rd line, but also getting some power play opportunity, which is massive for Zlodeyev to continue building on his offense. We'll wrap things up in the OHL. We got 2 players that we want to quickly touch on as they're beginning their training camps, and we'll be speaking with one of them later on this week. We're going to start with Connor Lockhart. He is playing with his new team. He has the new training camp with the Peterborough Petes, and that's a good spot for him as they have a lot of talent and expect to be much better than his team last year, the Erie Otters. The Otters are in a little bit of a rebuild, and it had to be a tough year for Lockhart, who wanted to be one of the top scoring players in the OHL, and it should be nice to see him go up the charts this year playing with better players. The other OHL prospect is Kirill Kudryavtsev, who's back with the Sioux Greyhounds, as we confirmed with his agent Dan Milstein, and we're excited to see what Kudryavtsev, who's a name I'm going to have to practice, is going to do this season after showing a lot of promise the year before he came to the OHL. So that wraps it up for our Blackfish report here at CanucksArmy. We'll see you next week as we wrap up the week that was for the Vancouver Canucks' prospects.